Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So happy Friday. We had a little turmoil yesterday because of this big feud. But is it over? Well, it certainly looks like it because Bitcoin just had a big V-shaped recovery. However, this is just the beginning. There are some that argues that you better buy now or regret later when Bitcoin has 13 million. What is that about? When is that coming? Let's talk about it. And let's talk about all the other good things happening in the space today and do a good Q&A session. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome. We are right back to 104 today. Yesterday, of course, I made a couple of videos about the feud that's happening between Elon and Trump. A lot of people didn't like it. Bitcoin started selling off. But then, you know what? It utilized this trend line, kind of bounced off of there, and now we're back to 104. Even yesterday wasn't that bad. We were down to like 101, but still. We had a pretty good recovery just within a single day. And today, the stock market is looking very, very green. Very green indeed. Look at that. Across the board. And then you got like Tesla coming up a little bit from yesterday's horrific crash. But then you got MicroStrategy up, Coinbase up, Robinhood up. Today's looking like it's a green day. So is this feud over? No, it doesn't look like it. Trump says he's not interested in having a call with Elon at this point, and they're probably not going to have a call anytime soon. And he threw some shots at Elon saying that, you know what? I'm not even thinking about Elon. He's got a problem. The poor guy's got a problem. I don't know if Elon has a problem. Well, he probably has many problems. I don't know the problem he's referring to. I think Trump is referring to the EV credit being removed. But that was never an issue. You know, removing the EV credit is going to hurt other manufacturers more than it's going to hurt Tesla. Right? There's many other manufacturers, including American ones like Ford, that does have EV cars. And they definitely need that $7,500 credit. If they don't offer that, no one is going to be buying those EV vehicles. So I'm not sure if that's what he's referring to. But, you know, yesterday it got pretty ugly. So I guess we'll see if this drama continues, whether Elon is still 100% all against Trump at this point, or he backtracks a little bit and maybe apologizes and realize that maybe it's the best for the both of them to kind of get along for the country. Who knows? We'll see what today brings. Today also in the U.S., we got an unexpected payrolls number that shows that payrolls went up last month, which is good. But this kind of contradicts the ADP report, which shows the hiring really stalled. But I guess that also means that basically there's not a whole lot of companies firing at this point, which is good, which is why unemployment did not go up. And that's good. That's good. However, payrolls increasing again does not help Powell in any way, because Powell wants to see weakness. He does not want to see strength. Strength like this only pushes, you know, the next cut further down the road. And also in terms of the trade deals, seems like Trump did have a call with President Xi, but it didn't really do much. So this summer, for those of us in the U.S., we may be feeling some pains with hiked up prices, and maybe with batteries for those EV cars, because China produces like 90+% of rare earth minerals or metals. So I don't know. We'll see. Still ongoing, right? Still ongoing. Hopefully this is resolved in one way or another sooner than later. Now, as for yesterday, we had another $1 billion of liquidation, right? Again, you can make this argument that all the volatility that we have, okay, the choppiness that we're seeing, is really the market makers trying to get rid of everyone. That's what it comes down to. Some people have asked me, and I've thought about it, like, why do the market makers want to liquidate people, right? Why do the exchanges want to liquidate people? Isn't it better that everyone's in the game and making a whole bunch of money? Well, you got to think about it. No, according to exchanges, because if the crypto market keeps going up, let's say Bitcoin keeps going up, you got everyone throwing longs. No one's throwing shorts, right? And if everyone's making crazy money, like remember James Nguyen, when he had his 40x long, he was up like over 100 something percent, and he was set to make like $20 million. How did exchanges pay for that? If everyone is making money on longs, you have to have a counter trade, right? You got to have someone that's losing money in order for them to pay out to the winners, right? You got to have trades on both sides. But if everyone is only trading on one side and everyone's winning, how did the exchanges pay out, right? You got to think about that. Well, they can't. There has been some shady exchanges that would just say, oh, oops, we don't have enough money, we're not going to pay out. And they roll back the trades. And then you have the bigger guys like Binance that has enough to sway markets. And they're like, screw it, we'll just drop the market. That way all the longs get liquidated and we don't have to pay anything. As manipulative as that sounds, that's probably what's happening, because when you have too many people, like in this case, $1 billion worth of longs, these exchanges, they have a hard time paying out if everyone wins. You got to have losers. So I do feel like a lot of times with these choppiness, including yesterday, even though we went down, right? Like a lot of it was just driven probably by the market makers on purpose, to just drive people out. You can't have everyone winning. So that's why when you play a leverage, you got to be careful. And plus, if you're like someone like James Nguyen, you don't want to like be super boastful about like, yeah, I'm going to throw a 40x, have $1 billion or whatever. I think $100 million worth of positions open, and I'm going to go against the market manipulators, whatever. I mean, you're not going to win. You're going up against like the Binances of the world who have like 100 billion in their disposal to use. But yeah, I think a lot of it is just basically what we're seeing with these like manipulations by the market makers. Really that simple. However, if you don't play with leverage and you're just holding, then you don't notice a whole lot. Like yesterday, yeah, we fell down to 100, 101. But if you look at your portfolio, it really didn't move all that much. And today we're right back to 104. So it's like yesterday never happened. So DCAing is the way to go. You hold on in DCA. Hold on DCA. If we got an opportunity, then you just buy. It gives you a chance to lower your cost average. And you know what? You don't want to, according to Robert Kiyosaki, you don't want to be a loser. You don't want to be one of those guys that always say, oh, I would have, I could have, I should have, right? Especially when it comes to Bitcoin. So he is highly recommending people to buy silver, gold, and Bitcoin instead of being a loser and saving money, because that will just, you know, get less valuable over time because we have inflation and you are getting robbed of your buying power. And you want to invest in hard assets that will out appreciate inflation. That's how you truly win, right? But, you know, obviously having cash, having dry powder on the side is important. So not like having no cash. You got to have some cash to be able to DCA and buy the dip, like what happened yesterday, right? All right. Now moving on, let's talk about Strategy and Michael Saylor a little bit. Strategy, again, offers another preferred stock, and they offered $1 billion. So they started with Strike, and then Strife, and then Stride. And the point of this is to just buy more Bitcoin, obviously, right? Why does he want to buy more Bitcoin? Well, obviously, he doesn't want to be a loser, in the words of Kiyosaki. But he also believes that everyone's going to have a whole lot of regret, $13 million regret, if you don't load up now. So let's listen to this. I listened to this. It's pretty interesting. If you don't load up now. He explains it. So let's listen perfectly. To this. I listened to this. It's pretty interesting. If you don't.
6 months have been tremendous. All of the fundamental planets have aligned. Bitcoin's been acknowledged as the one digital commodity in the world by the administration. The banking regulators have given a green light to bank Bitcoin. The accountants have upgraded the accounting to fair value accounting. There's been a surge of Bitcoin treasury companies. There's like 100 public companies or more that are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and every single week there's another announcement. I think that, you know, it used to be we're focused on the halvings, but at this point, the entire natural supply of Bitcoin is only 450 Bitcoin available for sale every day. That's sort of about $45, $50 million a day at this level. That is all being consumed by the Bitcoin treasury companies, and the Bitcoin ETFs are coming on strong. So I'm very bullish. My forecast in July of last year in Nashville was Bitcoin's going to appreciate 29% a year on average for the next 21 years. And that moves it from, it was about mid 65,000 to 13 million a coin in the year 2045. I'm getting more bullish on that forecast, but I'm certainly comfortable forecasting 30% a year ARR on average for the next 20 years. I think Bitcoin's up 57% a year for the past 4.5 years. Again, that's double the Mag 7. That's quadruple the S&P. You know, that's, you know, 8 times real estate, and bonds are down 4%. So Bitcoin is smashing everything, Joe.
Well, he summed it up pretty well. Things that I've been talking about too. I mean, just think about it, right? There's only 450 being produced per day. And you have Strategy, you have Metaplanet, you have the ETFs, you have all these new public trade companies that are buying, and you still have the miners holding and the long-term hodlers buying and holding. I mean, it's a scarce asset. It really is. It's just that simple. Now, he's projecting 30% every year, right? That's conservative. Bitcoin has been going up way more. Annualized return for Bitcoin right now throughout its history is like actually like 140% per year. As crazy as that sounds, even if you take into the years where Bitcoin goes down after a tremendous rise, even if you take those into account, Bitcoin's annualized return is 140% a year. So he's just being conservative, saying, okay, let's just go with 29 or 30%. So even if we do that, you stretch it out for the next 20 years, Bitcoin's going to be at $13 million. 20 years may not seem, like it's going to come anytime soon, but hey, years move really fast, especially in crypto. Man, we're halfway through this year already, and it seems like we only started 2025. But you know what? You don't want to wake up in 20 years and say, yeah, I could have bought Bitcoin at 100K, and then you check your phone, and it's at $13 million. Well, in 20 years, you probably don't have to check your phone. You probably just can just access the internet in your head. But you'll regret it if you don't have enough today. And speaking of Metaplanet, they're buying more, and they're going to raise 5.4 billion now. They're exactly like strategy now. Okay, they're not going for low numbers. They're going for extremely big numbers. So they're trying to, by 2027, which is only 2 years, they're trying to get 210,000 Bitcoin, 1% of the total supply. That is an enormous amount of Bitcoin. And they are going to get that money because their stock is the number one stock in Japan by volume, by growth. It's quite amazing what's happening with them. Trump Media also is planning on raising $12 billion. They raised $2.3 billion last week. Now they want to raise up to $12 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Okay, so obviously, again, there's only 450 being produced per day. Okay, that's roughly 40 I don't know, 45 million, $50 million a day. It's going to be eaten up very, very, very quickly. This person says, hey, Bitcoin is leaving exchanges, but no one's talking about it. You see these massive outflows that's been happening for quite a while. Again, why is that happening? Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. These big boys are buying it. It's really that obvious, right? And in terms of our bull run right now, a lot of people are questioning how high we can go, right? Because of all the volatility, it's all the choppiness. Why are we not going higher? Remember, we're up like almost 100% year to year, year over date. No, year to year, year over year. That's what I'm searching for. We are going higher, right? But we tend to live in a moment, and sometimes we see this choppiness, and it seems like it's forever. But when in doubt, zoom out and realize we're going up just fine. We had a lot less volatile times this cycle than previous times. Okay, a lot less big swings, but we're still going higher. We're trending upwards, and we are not at the top. And here's another good chart that shows that, right? The parabolic phase, in this case, is labeled bubble. We haven't even entered it yet. We haven't. The last one in 2021, we saw a 260% gain, which is quite conservative versus the 2,300% or the 9,300% we saw in the previous cycles. This time around, maybe we only get 100% in the bubble. Maybe we don't get anywhere close to 260%. But that's okay, because 100% from where we are now puts Bitcoin at $210,000, which is where I'm thinking we end up. So we got a lot more growth to go. All right, and then outside of these, I saw this. FCA clears path for UK retail crypto ETF trading. South Korea is also doing this, right? Well, South Korea needs to get their new president very pro wants to allow crypto ETFs, right? And now you have other countries either allowing trading or allowing them to come into play, or being developed or whatever. This is not only going to help Bitcoin, obviously, but it's going to help some of the other alts out there. And we're still waiting for spot Sol ETF, spot XRP ETF, spot like possibly ADA ETF. They're all going to come. And then that's pretty much it. I did want to highlight, right? So new web page. Obviously, I've been highlighting this. Yesterday we dropped to 46 in the fear and greed indicator. But I did say that I was going to add a new Ask George a Question section right there. So if you want to submit, okay, this is going to be a new segment that I'm doing called Ask George. So if you want to submit a question via video, you can, and you may be selected, and you could ask me anything you want. It doesn't mean that I'm going to answer every one, but I will try to choose a few. So all you have to do is submit your name, email, and post your video link. All right, so that is on the webpage in case you guys wanted to participate. It is right under the video right here on CryptosRUs.com. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. Yeah, as for the finals yesterday, I did definitely miss a good one, I guess. Halliburton had a game winner. Good for him. He's developing a lot of confidence now. So that's all I'll say about that. Greg says, should Musk step down from Tesla lest Tesla goes under? I don't know what you mean by that. He should not step down from Tesla. If he steps down from Tesla, Tesla, in my mind, will die. He carries that company. If he steps down, the stock will drop 50% in a week, and a lot of people will lose faith in Tesla. A lot of people only support Tesla just because they're trying to support him. That's it. I don't even think they really like the cars at all. What's probably going to end up happening is he'll step down as CEO, but he will remain chairman, so that he's still going to be part of it. And then that way, loyal supporters won't ditch the company. But I don't think he gets to step away completely. If he ever announced like, oh, I'm stepping away completely to concentrate on SpaceX or whatever, that'll be really disastrous for Tesla. Oh, look at this. Trump presses Powell for a full point interest cut despite strong jobs report. This is what I'm saying. Today's jobs report did us no favors. Powell is less inclined now to cut because the economy is doing well. When the economy does well, he does not want to cut the Fed fund rate. In fact, he wants to increase it to prevent inflation. Jin World says, I would buy a Tesla for sure if I could afford it, just to support Elon. The Model 3s are quite affordable. You could lease one for like 300 bucks a month. I don't know, maybe for some that's still unaffordable, but all cars are expensive now. You can't buy like a $10,000 car anymore. They're all about 30,000. Even like a what do you call it? Even like a Honda Civic is like $30,000. Red Star, are we looking at a 2026 altcoin dominance? Maybe. Depends on if the cycle continues on or it just kind of like, stops at the end of this year like previous cycles. I think we will continue. And I've been telling you guys about Robinhood. Robinhood, their stock is unstoppable at this point. My options are exploding with Robinhood. They actually have benefited the most with everything that's going on with crypto. They have benefited the most so far, even more so than Coinbase and MicroStrategy. Although Coinbase is doing pretty well today, Strategy is a little bit behind. Plus 500 today. It's a very, very green day. Did I get the Cyber Beast? Yes. Daniel Chung is asking, can I ask what you believe MicroStrategy's end game is? Is there a scenario where they accumulate so much that they stabilize the network because they hold too much influence? You could argue that they're already there. I would say the most dangerous person in Bitcoin is now Saylor, if you want it to be. If he announces that he goes start selling Bitcoin, that would be more disastrous than Satoshi selling Bitcoin. But the thing is, I think at this point, Saylor knows how important he is, and he's not going to disrupt his own wealth and the Bitcoiners. I think he truly believes he's one of the top guys, and he is. So I think he's just going to accumulate forever. He has 1.5% of the supply, 1.7%, and he's going to try to increase that. I bet his goal is to get 10%. And from a decentralization standpoint, 10% would be stupidly bad. You don't want any one entity to control 10% of Bitcoin supply. The way he's trying to go about it, he may actually accomplish it. He's been adding so much within the last year. Base Honda Civic 2025 MSRP is 24,000. Yeah, that's base. Add in, the sport trim or the EXL trim, and then you gotta add taxes in there too. You're looking at like 30K for a Honda Civic, and for like a Honda Accord, you're looking at like mid 30s to 40s, and then if you want SUVs, you're talking about 35 plus. He'll never get to 10%. Oh, don't say never. He's already close to 2%. And he's still buying more. Even Metaplanet. Metaplanet may be ending up with 1% soon. Ed, I did not sell it. If you want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell my G Wagon for 1 Bitcoin if anyone wants to take it. It's a special limited edition one. It's like 30 something thousand miles on it. It's a 2021 red G Wagon. It's like the Edition 500. (1967) Corvette Coupe Triple Black Sinister. I'm not a big fan of the old Corvettes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the older Corvettes. I do really like the ZR1. I would like to get a ZR1, but all the Chevy dealerships are going to mark the hell out of them and hold the allocation. But I think the new ZR1 looks awesome. And if you compare it to like the others that are in the same class, it blows them away in terms of price. The only thing is, to a non-car person, they may think that it's just like any other Corvette, besides having like a big wing. Because if you like look at this versus Z06, it's very similar. Uh, Only like you have to be a car guy to notice the details. Musician Live, you don't understand that longs are loans. The funds buy on the market, no risk to exchange. That's not true. There is always a risk to the exchange. They have to pay out. Yeah, I found out this hood scoop on a Z06. That's like an option. I was configuring on the website. It's part of some Aero option. You could actually get it without that hood scoop, I think. Like the wing and the hood scoop are part of some optional package. Um, so if you don't get it, it'll really look like a normal Z06 or even a normal vet. That's not what I want to see. It doesn't. There's no comparison pictures yet. Well, here's one. A ZR1. It still have the hood scoop, but doesn't have the big wing. I would get mine in Bitcoin Orange. Actually, I was configuring it with the Bitcoin Orange. Hey, Tom is in here. Welcome, Tom. Are you enjoying the V-shaped recovery? I saw Tom at a Bitcoin conference. Um, Spoke briefly. Jeb was there. Who else did I meet there? I didn't see a lot of other influencers there. But yeah, Bitcoin conference was fun. This year was the best. You guys saw my videos. I highly recommend it for next year. Um, just being there in person, the vibe and everything is different than just watching it on like a live stream. I was wearing Jordan 3s, man, Remy, not 11s. Oh, you were wearing Jordan 11s. Okay. Well, I'm glad I met you. A car, John says a car is an appliance. Spending lots of money on a car is a crime against humanity. Um, no. Once you have some money, you have to spend money on something, okay? And if you happen to enjoy cars, then spend money on cars. If you happen to enjoy, I don't know, taking private jets, then take private jets. If you happen to enjoy food, go to all the Michelin star restaurants. Otherwise, what's the point in making all this money? You make money so that you can spend it. Tom says, speaking of cars, I just bought a Honda CRV. Nice. Dude, I like the new CRVs. They're very big and comfortable. Little underpowered. They're not very fast. But CRV is a nice car. The hood scoop is not an option, but the back wing is, and carbon on. This is funny. That's kind of what I thought, but then I tried to configure it, and the option said something about wing. Let's try to configure it. In case you guys are not familiar, it has 1,064 horsepower, 233 miles per hour, and 828 pound-feet of torque. I would get the convertible. 3L, 3LZ. Get Bitcoin Orange. Interior. Get some more orange in here. That looks sweet. See, this is what I was looking at right here. the track performance. No. Aero package. No. Tail hoods. Okay, maybe I was looking at that. The wing, tall hood spoiler. See, that's what I was thinking. Tall hood spoiler. Oh, I guess it just makes it carbon, but I kind of interpreted that the hood spoiler was part of this package. Anyways, it's an $8,500 package. You added in there total price $208,000, which is not cheap by any means. That's 2 Bitcoin. So you could either buy 2 Bitcoin or this car. I would recommend buying 2 Bitcoin. But you know, dealers are going to mark this up by 100K at least. What does 208K get you from Ferrari? Nothing. You can't buy any Ferrari for 208K. Speaking of cars, look at this headline. Used car prices ease from tariff fear buying highs, but remain elevated. So it looks like it's come down a little bit, but still higher than it was. Cheaper and better than a GTD Mustang. I 100% agree. That GTD Mustang makes no sense. No one's going to buy it. It's more expensive than GT3, and it's ultimately still a Ford, so, or Mustang, I should say. I would still love to buy like a 05, 04 GT40, or they just call it GT. I don't like the new ones that they had. But the older one, man, they were only going for like 100, 150K when they first came out. Now they're like $500,000. They're like 400, 500,000 minimum. It's still one of the best looking cars ever. And it's a stick, which you cannot get anymore. Yeah, this is still this has a timeless design. This will be this will look good even in another 40 years. It's it's just it's an amazing car. I would love to get this. Conrad, I'm glad I was able to meet you. Appreciate it. We are coming up quite nicely. We're going to be at like 105 again pretty soon. So, in case you guys are coming in late, okay, I got a new section on CryptosRUs.com to ask me a question. It's going to be a new segment, so you got to submit your video clip, but I may select it and answer it, and you can ask me about anything: cars, sports, crypto, finances, anything. And I'm going to show my merch store a little bit. A lot of you guys have been buying this. I've shipped every one out within like 2 days, which is crazy. It's just like a ton of orders. But if you enjoy holding like me, then you may want to pick one up for yourself or two for your friends. But also these watches. I looked at these watches from CoinVigilante. Mine one will come soon, and then I'll do some more videos with it. But these watches are very nice. If you're a watch guy, they're not nearly expensive as Rolex or any other watches, but they're really nice watches. And I do want to produce. I'm going to work with him and produce these CRU ones. So inside, rather than have Bitcoin, or maybe I'll keep the Bitcoin, but it says CRU. Like these Bitcoin ones look awesome. This is the one I'm getting for myself. I think that's sweet. I may keep the Bitcoin and just change the Coin Vigilante to CryptosRUs, and then maybe change that 12 o'clock notch thing to a CRU logo or something. That would be sweet. And keep the Bitcoin sign there. This is like $500. But these are sweet watches. And they have a good weight to them too. They're not cheap at all. I would wear this at any conference. It looks exactly like an AP watch. They need an XRP watch. You know what? I'll work with them and create one. I bet a lot of people will buy an XRP watch. What other watches would people buy? A Solana watch, obviously. Yeah. XRP and Solana watches. All right, guys. I'll let you get back to your day. It's looking good. Yesterday, like it never happened. The feud is still ongoing, but nothing can hold Bitcoin back, right? Like Sailor says, like Kiyosaki says, buy now or regret later. That's really the message. So continue to hodl and DCA, and have a good rest of your Friday. Submit your questions to me, so that way I have a video to produce for you guys tomorrow, a brand new segment, and then Sunday walk, and that's it. All right, have a good one, guys. Take care.